Tell him about the time we faced him.
All right. Well, as I remember.
At Avenger headquarters.
Because united, the Avengers are strong.
Welcome to the Marvel DNC Evolution podcast with myself, Andy Stead.
And I'm Jarian Gibson.
And I'm Alex Stroud.
And I'm Jamie Smith.
Good to see you, lads. Good to see you back, Alex. How you doing?
I'm good. It's great to be back.
Good. We've missed you. We certainly have missed you. We tried replacing you last week with Jamie, but it just wasn't the same.
Well, I'm excited to be back and talk about some Moon Knight this week. So
Good. And obviously, Jamie, we've got you back again, Moon Knight, week 2. So that's going to be a good conversation in a minute. And obviously, feel free to chip in whenever you want. Anybody that's listening, you know the drill. Yeah, if you've got anything that you want to chip in with, drop us your comments, say hello, drop us your theories and your ideas, and we'll do our best to accommodate you. How you doing, Jarian? You're quiet over there. How are you?
Yeah, doing good. Busy weekend of football with the kids. So doubleheader weekend. Usually it's only on Saturdays, but this week it's Saturday and Sunday. So I just got back and I got ice cream and I'm good.
So brought enough for everybody else.
So we went out for a meal on Thursday. It was Thursday, so it was a meal on Thursday because I watched Moon Knight a day late, and we stopped. There's a place down the road that does like cookies and donuts and ice cream and stuff like this, and I've never had one of their milkshakes from there, so I got one of these milkshakes, and it was pretty big anyway. But I was amazed at how much ice cream the guy actually put in there. He must have put, they were like the size of my fist to like the scoops. He must have put 3 scoops in there. It must have been about 2,000 calorie ice cream. It was absolutely ridiculous after a big meal out as well. So, but that went down really nicely while watching Moon Knight. So nice.
You finally got to watch it.
Oh yeah, I got to.
Yeah.
A day late, but never mind. Who we got? Hi, Roxy. How you doing? She's there. So, Jarian, what we got news-wise this week?
Yeah, 1 second. Looks like the chat's not coming across again, so we'll have to monitor that this week. But yeah, news. So first one, Miss Marvel is rated PG in Disney Plus. There's a landing page for it, but the interesting thing is that this is the first. Oh, now I'm seeing chats come across, so we're good there. This is the first Disney Plus series that has not been TV 14 or PG 13. So that's interesting for Miss Marvel, and it will be in June 8th. And the landing page is there on Disney Plus now.
Yeah, I understand why they've done it actually, and looking at the trailers and seeing the feel of this, it does make sense. I think they're trying to appeal to a different audience with this. So. I mean, is there any need for them to take it up to that rating level? Is the content that they want to put out because they're going for this certain demographic? Is it necessary for it to be PG-13? No. Or it might not be. So
no, the comic book content, the cartoon content, this is perfect rating for it from what I've read and what I've seen. So
that's makes sense.
All right, Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness tickets are on sale. I've got mine. Anyone else got theirs yet?
Yep.
Nice.
Yep, I've got mine. I've got a very small window to be able to go and see it because we're going away on the Friday. So I was like, I'm not going to get to see it on the Friday or the Saturday or the Sunday. And then I probably wouldn't due to work Monday, Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday or Friday. So it would have been the following Saturday. There's no way I can do this without having seen it. So, yeah.
So they're on sale. It's eyeing a 200 million opening weekend just for the fact that ticket sales were really hot. But also, too, they beat the Batman in 24-hour pre-sales for any 2022 movie. It's the highest since No Way Home, and it will take place months after No Way Home in the timeline. So
and talking about, I know we're going to talk about Moon Knight in a minute, but Moon Knight is set after Hawkeye.
It's the longest. Yeah, it's the furthest.
So the furthest so far, or do you reckon that would be around about the same time as Multiverse of Madness?
It could be, or it could be after. The only reference that we have in Moon Knight, as far as timeline wise, is we saw those buses for the GRC that we saw in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. right now, that's the only reference that we've seen as far as whether it's snapped or post snapped. And I have a snap thing. I'll wait till we talk about Moon Knight that I want to address too, because it might answer something with that as well.
Roxy's just said she's going to see Multiverse of Madness Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Nice. Yeah, I'll probably see it twice that weekend. I'm going Friday. My wife and I, or while the kids are in school, are going to go, and then I'll probably take my son again sometime that weekend.
Nice.
More Multiverse of Madness. America Chavez will be a newcomer from another universe. She's down to earth and sees through Strange's front. She doesn't have respect for him initially and doesn't like his attitude, according to an interview with Sam Raimi. Raimi would also love to work in the MCU again. He has also teased multiple versions of Wanda in Multiverse of Madness, which makes sense. I think we've seen at least 2 to 3 in what we've seen in the trailers so far, because we've seen the mom Wanda, we've seen regular Wanda, we've seen zombie Wanda, and I think we'll probably end up seeing another one. So,
well, and it looks like there's multiple versions of Strange too.
Yep.
So, I wonder which Strange she sees through his front.
Yep.
I wonder which one that is, referencing there.
And also multiple versions of Wong too, according to Funko's, because there's a regular Wong and a Defender Wong. So,
yeah.
We also know from the trailer, the recent one that came out for the ticket sales, that Bobby and Billy will be back. There was a show, a spot of them in the trailers, just as we saw them in WandaVision. So it shouldn't be surprising there, given that at the end of WandaVision we saw Wanda working with a Darkhold and hearing their voices. So that shouldn't be a surprise. They're back.
Do we think that's like now in the movie, or do we think that that's a memory,
a flashback?
Flashback.
Yeah. It could be flashback. It could be just from the voices that she heard from the Darkhold, them in another universe, even. Maybe when they disappeared in the end of WandaVision, they went back to the universe they were originally in. Because I think it's some multiversal stuff here at play.
Yep. No, agreed. Anybody listening, what do you think? What do you think about Billy and Tommy in the Multiverse of Madness trailer? Where are they coming from? Where are they? Are they just in Wanda's memories, or are they, like Jarian said, another multiverse variant or in another universe? Carry on, Jarian.
Ironheart news. They have cast young actor Anthony Harper in the cast. We don't know who he is. He's going to be 9 years. He's 9 years old. And he could be young Wakandan. Could he be Riri's little brother? Could he just be someone else? But it's interesting that this got news for this casting. The other casting news is that a casting call does sound like To the Hood being casted in the series being a villain. So that'll be interesting as well to see what that is. And then Guardians of the Galaxy 3. James Gunn is teasing big cameos in Guardians of the Galaxy 3 via his Twitter account. They also broke the world record for makeup appliances created for a single production. So that's there as well. The other thing about Guardians of the Galaxy 3, don't forget that the Christmas special is coming out this year. And I wonder if we see Adam Warlock in the Christmas special, if Adam Warlock becomes the MCU's Boba Fett. Because remember, Boba Fett was originally introduced in a Christmas special as well on the Star Wars side. So could that be something for Marvel, or could they have something else up their sleeve for introducing a new character? Because it sounds like there will be some new characters introduced in the Christmas special as well.
Just said a post on the group that you put up, Jarian, of Will Poulter talking about his training regime.
Yep.
To get in shape for Adam Warlock, and obviously it's within my sort of area of what I do for work, and you wouldn't believe what some of these guys actually have to go through to get there. I don't need to say this too loud, but I think I might have said before I'm a bit of a fan of Zac Efron.
Never.
But I think I might have surely have mentioned it. But no, there's a great episode of Down to Earth where he's talking. But they go to Sardinia, and he's talking about the training regime that he was in to do Baywatch, and he just basically he said I hate it, absolutely hated it. He said the diet and the restriction and the dedication that had to be put in, it was almost just like it had to be an addiction. It was just that was his life for longer than 6 months, but for 6 months it was so strict. and so to the point that he said, I don't ever want to do that again. And you can tell by some of the things that Porter was saying in that article that you posted, Jarian, that he's along those same lines. He's like, wow, this is unbelievable, you know.
And it's mental and physical. He was mentioning too.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about a crazy preparation? Go back and look at the guys for 300 when they had to do all the work for getting in shape for all the Spartans in 300. Go look at that regiment they had to do. It's crazy for some of the things they have to do in these roles.
Yeah, for sure. We've got just before we go on there, we've got Lisa's on. Hi, Lisa, and Xander's watching as well. So and Krish is there as well. Hi, Krish, and obviously RMC, he's there, and he said there, like, hopefully Billy and Tommy tie into her show. That's her motivation. Yep. And Krish wants to know what happened to White Vision.
Yeah, I think White Vision, we probably won't know anything about him. My guess is until Armor Wars. Just for the fact that he's some kind of tech, and with that the nature of that show, I could see that be White Vision. I know that Bettany has said he doesn't have anything right now lined up with Marvel. That could just be one of those misdirection things. But I think if we see White Vision again, I think Armor Wars is the best bet. I don't think we'll see him in Multiverse of Madness or in anything else in between right now, at least.
They could always
Captain America 4, maybe.
They could always do that thing where they let like Rhodey finish Tony's journey of like trying to collect all that tech and all that, all the weapons and stop all that kind of crap that he used to do, So
because Tony was on a bit of a mission to try and what's the word? Make up for basically all the weapons that he'd put out, wasn't he? And I don't think that job's finished yet.
Yeah. I mean, like I think Obadiah has that line where he says to him in his first movie, like, "We're a weapons company. How are you not going to sell weapons?" Like, like that's what we do. Like, and so like Tony completely had like a change of heart and a complete change on direction there. So
yeah, I mean, the name of the show says that might happen anyway, doesn't it? Armor Wars.
Yeah.
So moving on to She-Hulk. She-Hulk is rumored to be eyeing a August release. But the interesting thing that has come out this week is that there's an episode rumored to be focused on damage control. There's also Wong is rumored to be in the series suing another wizard. So that'll be interesting. Yeah, I don't know if that's gonna work, but yeah, that's just a rumor that came out last week. So I don't know.
I wonder what he'd be suing him for.
Intellectual property of a spell. I don't know.
But I mean, he didn't even have enough money for like a tuna melt like in that one movie. How can he afford a lawyer to sue somebody? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
unless like Walters is doing something pro bono, or I don't know. It seems like an odd rumor that him to be suing another wizard, unless him and Strange fall out. I don't know.
I feel like it's gonna be like very Judge Judy-esque. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, we could end up seeing Jennifer Walters, and there almost could be a sort of a montage of her seeing all of these different characters from the MCU and about all of their problems.
Yep.
Like Wong's there, right? Stephen Strange has taken back the mantle of Sorcerer Supreme, and he didn't earn it back, or blah blah blah. And then she's seeing some, she could be seeing anybody, like a long list of characters. They come in one after the other, and she's just sitting there, like, sort of thinking,
and there'd be like a long line of people like trying to sue Tony Stark, and Stark Industries for like all the things that he's caused and everything. So
maybe you see all the different people that have been involved in that. Like the little guy that was in Far From Home. The bald guy with the glasses.
Adrian Toomes.
No. The
Tinkerer.
Yes.
No. It's still not the same guy I think about. No, he's not. Wait, shush. In Iron Man, when Obadiah Stane goes up.
Yeah, the Christmas Story kid. The Christmas Story kid. Ralphie.
Is that him? Oh no, He's not a kid. He's a man. He's like
but he's the actor. That actor, the one who kind of releases the media out.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes, that guy. Yes.
Yeah, there's like him there. There's all these different people that, like you say, Tony Stark's sort of miffed, and they're all trying to sort of sue Stark that he's dead now. Yeah. Anyway, carry on. Sorry, we got carried away there.
Yeah. So Echo series news. It looks like they're casting for a townspeople casting call with a long commitment. So almost some town that maybe she goes off to, or from her childhood, or something. They're looking for a whole townspeople worth of people to cast that are in it for a long haul. So it looks like possibly for the duration of the series. The other casting news is that Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio are rumored to be in the series as well, which shouldn't be a surprise given the comic history of Echo with both of them. But also seeing, Kingpin in No Way Home and his relationship with Echo there as well, if you're not familiar with the comic side of it. So that should be no surprise there. They're rumored for it. But there should be an Echo forward-facing series with them being having some roles in it.
Cool.
Fans would love to see Charlie Cox and Vinny D in a show together, like squaring off together one more time, if that was even possible.
Well, there's been rumors too of Daredevil getting back, whether it's a movie or a series, but there's rumors out there of Daredevil getting, basically a soft reboot of his series, not a continuation, it sounds like, but a soft reboot. But also too, as well, him potentially showing up in Spider-Man at some point in the next trilogy. There's some of the rumors that have been floating around there. Still early, but because there's all kinds of rumors about villains with Spider-Man next trilogy. I've heard everything from Venomized Mac to the Sinister Six to who else have they? Hope Mr. Negative, I think, was one rumored.
Yeah.
There's like a bunch of rumors floating out there on what villains. Even Hobgoblin, his best friend Ned, his Hobgoblin was another one. So
didn't we see Feast in the
Yep.
most recent Spider-Man movie?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
The teasing them at the food bank that his Aunt May worked at.
yeah.
I really hope that Sony sort out this. I don't know. I mean, you talk about Morbius all we want, but it doesn't sound like it's been received too well. But I really hope they sort this out, because I think they've got a really good opportunity there with ATJ to really nail Craven.
And also Chameleon in that movie.
Yeah. And I think ATJ Craven hunting, Tom Holland Spider-Man would be excellent, because now nobody knows who he is.
Yep.
It's got that kind of air of like he's almost like pest control, and I think that could be really good. But I don't know. Yeah,
I wouldn't mind seeing them kind of close that thread though with Mac and maybe a Venomized Scorpion for the next movie and another villain before maybe Parker gets the symbiote, because we saw the symbiote a piece of it was left over on this side of the universe. So we'll see. Marvel's casting rumor. So there's some chatter out there that this casting hints at Silver Surfer. And this is why. So there's a casting for Pop Ton, who's a Kree scientist. But if you check the comic lore, his most notable thing in the comics is working on Silver Surfer's board. And so I don't know, but that picked up some rumors out there that maybe this leads to Silver Surfer showing up in the Multiverse, or hinting at him. But that scientist and that's the only thing they really tie to if you look up Pop Ton. So, or Papton, I would say his name.
Okay. Vague, but you never know.
Yeah.
I mean, could he show up in the Guardians of the Galaxy 3?
Maybe.
Who's Surfer or this other guy?
Yeah, I'm saying Silver Surfer.
He could. Maybe he's the Christmas special. He comes surfing by, and so we see him.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
This next news is kind of spoiler-ish news. So I'm going to pause for a second. So if you don't want to know, just stop listening here until we're done. But this is Black Panther. And if you're listening to the recording, skip this section. There is Black Panther to Wakanda Forever news. So Wakabi is returning. He is from the Border Tribe, the one that teamed up with Killmonger after on that piece of it. And then also, it seems like the conflict between Wakanda and Atlantis is caused by Riri. Some device that she builds or engineers causes the conflict with Atlantis. Now, this has been rumored for months, but this rumor is picking up steam again. The main antagonist, I don't want to say protagonist because I got myself confused yesterday with this one. The main antagonist of the movie will be Namor, which is not a surprise. That was rumored months ago, but that rumor is picking up steam again. Also, too, Anthony Mackie has confirmed that the movie has filmed wrapping, or has wrapped filming, and he has witnessed the filming as well, but he denies being in the film. So what's interesting though is that we know there's a connection there between him and Bucky, especially with him getting the new Falcon suit from Wakanda. We know that there was some Wakandans, some of the Dora Milaje in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, so maybe there's something there, but who knows?
That's odd, isn't it? Why would he confirm that it's
Yeah.
finished when he's not in it? I mean, it's almost like, well, it's not, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's more to do with him than it's to do with us, but it's almost like, well, it's nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
You remember those underwater tremors that they talked about in Endgame? What if those were caused by Riri? Like, what if that was something like she created some sort of resonance device or something that caused that with vibranium, and
that's a great idea. That's
something like that. And it's kind of like the reverse of like what Ultron did, where he took a city and dropped it into the sky, but it'd be like, going down. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe she was searching for Atlantis.
Yeah.
She found some sort of device that kind of brought them, made them visible.
I mean, they could even just do it as like Wakanda was testing some vibranium weapon and somehow displace Atlantis doing that.
Yeah.
Maybe she brings it up to the surface or partially or something like that. So
exposes it.
So we have here, can't wait to see Atlanteans versus Wakandans, and then RMC says, like the theory, Alex. So that's great. That's great theory there. The last bit of news, so we can get into Moon Knight, is Moon Knight related. There is an upcoming Funko release that talks about Werewolf by Night versus. Werewolf by. Wait, what's the name of it called? Oh, it's basically hinting towards Werewolf by Night's debut in Moon Knight, and it's called Moon Knight versus Werewolf by Night. And also, too, we already mentioned this before, that Moon Knight is listed after Hawkeye chronologically on Disney Plus. Now, this Funko, remember our chat the other day, Jamie, when I was saying there's that picture still from the latest trailer when they're on the roof and the shot of the moon and Moon Knight's running at somebody? That looks like werewolf to me. I thought when I first saw that with the big picture of the moon, because the way if you kind of zoom in on that picture, it doesn't look like Haro. It looks like some kind of a creature that has partial clothes on. So it doesn't look like a jackal to me. It looks like a werewolf. So I wonder if that's something we see like on the last piece of the series. Maybe it sets the committee up for the next piece. So that's it for the news. But I do have a question here from the chat.
That's Mark.
And Mark, do we see Namor getting his own solo film in the future? And this was a question in the group too as well. And it'll be interesting to see that. I don't think they should. I want to see a solo film, but I don't know if I want to see it right away. I don't think they should do the way they did Aquaman, or we saw Aquaman get introduced in Justice League, and then after Justice League, he got his own movie. I don't want to see that, but I wouldn't mind them seeing kind of a similar path to Black Panther, how we kind of saw Black Panther in Civil War, and then, his own movie after that. But I don't want to see a Namor movie directly after him showing up. I'd rather see him in a couple other things, maybe set up Agents of Atlas with Namora, that kind of stuff, but not directly into a solo film. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think what they should do is they should totally make him the villain like they, are talking about doing, and then use that as a jumping off point to kind of bring him into the fold, to kind of use him as a character like Doom, as like when everything's hitting the fan, there's like all these problems and everything, Namor just comes out of nowhere with like the might of Atlantis, like swinging for the fences, one of those types of things, and then everybody kind of like sort of likes Namor, and then maybe give him a movie down the road.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think it depends on what happens in Wakanda Forever. He's going to have to build back up from that antagonist side to protagonist side.
But he's also a mutant, so they're going to have to explain that they're going to go that route too. So,
I was thinking the other day about this, hero, anti-hero, villain sort of thing. We spoke about the anti-hero, didn't we, the other week? And I'd quite like to see a movie that is about a villain being a villain, like just being a villain. Like they're not an anti-hero, they're a villain. They're the bad person, and we know they're the bad person. We know they're the baddie, and we don't necessarily have to cheer them on. We don't necessarily need to want them to win. because then I guess that makes them an anti-hero, doesn't it? But I just think like actually having a hero, having a movie centered around the villain would be being a villain, would be an interesting take and just something a little bit fresh that we've not seen before. Because we get the hero, obviously that's standard, isn't it? And then, but anti-hero has sort of taken hold over the last sort of however many years. It'd just be nice to go completely the other way and see a whole movie about a villain. So maybe Namor can be that person. Don't know.
Yeah, like when you're watching it, you're not, as you said, cheering them on in any way. It's just making you dislike them.
Yes.
Yeah, building that hate. You're like, come on, I don't want you to succeed. No, not like just as you said, cheering on the hero. But when you're watching a movie and the villain, you're cheering on the hero to beat the villain. But something where you're cheering on the villain, not win.
Yeah.
It's like watching Scarface. It's like watching Scarface.
Yeah, I guess so.
And some villains are so multi-dimensional too, because and I'm gonna use Doom because I like Doom. Doom, fights Mephisto once a year for his mother's soul, and he literally loses every year, but Doom keeps going back for more every year, and he keeps going back and back and back, and so everybody, even these people that they do good and bad things, you do kind of sympathize with their actions at times.
Yeah, for sure. There's as you guys all know, I've been sort of on a zombie run recently, and I've just I'm quite up to date with Fear the Walking Dead. I've got one season left to catch the latest one, but in a couple of seasons there was Colby Minifree, the girl who's in The Boys as well. She plays the secretary in The Boys, and she played Virginia in Fear the Walking Dead. And oh my God, I have never hated somebody more than I hated her in that program. No, I don't mean the actress. I mean her character. Just you just want her to get killed. The whole time I'm like, please, somebody kill her. Please, come on. This has got to happen. She's horrible. She's and all you just have to do that to the writers, to the actor, to get that emotion out of you, to want somebody to die so much, like what Jamie was saying, you want to start cheering them on to die. That would be really cool, I think, from a Marvel aspect. So
it's like John Walker. I mean, they did that. That guy was getting hate mail, and the only thing he did was play the character to such a point where everybody hated him so much. So
great job.
Yeah. I mean, he did his job.
He probably didn't want hate mail, but I suppose as an actor, if you're getting hate mail because people didn't like your character, you've just got to go, I see that as a win.
That's all the news though this week. So let's get the topic at hand. Moon Knight.
Moon Knight
episode 2.
Yeah, it was an interesting one. There was some really cool pieces in there, and I mean, I don't really know what to think. What Jamie? What's your sort of opinions on episode 2?
Well, I only managed to watch this one once this week, unfortunately, but it was good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the look of Mr. Knight. Mr. Knight looked great. This little, yeah, you know what I'm laughing at.
Such a poser.
It seemed a bit silly. You know what I mean? It seemed a bit, but I'm defending that in my own head as, well, it's the first time it's happened to Stephen. He doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know how to act. He doesn't know what he can do, what he can't do. Mm-hmm. It's maybe something he'll grow into, and it won't be as awkward, silly. Yeah. That's what just came across, but that's the way it would be.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, do you remember in Bruce Almighty when Bruce first gets his powers, and he sort of does something and he goes like that? He's like really excited that something's happened. I got that same feeling when Stephen got the suit. He was like, oh wow, I've got this sort of new power. This is amazing.
Did you ever watch that show, The Greatest American Hero?
No.
Like back in the 80s, the guy, he's like he gets his powers. He's almost like Superman in a way, but it's like the clumsiest stuff you ever see, and he's still trying to figure it out. He flies, but he crashes every time he flies. It gave me that kind of vibe. the greatest
Yeah.
American hero vibes when Steven turned to Mr. Knight.
That scene where he reaches out and he grabs the bumper and he crushes it and he just kind of like looks at it and he's like, did I just like, crush this? Like he seems so caught off guard. He's like, I don't really understand what's going on right now,
What is it he said when he landed? Was it that hurt less than I thought? That didn't hurt. That didn't hurt as much as it should have.
Yeah, as much as it looked like it did. Yeah,
Yeah.
we watched Kung Fu Panda last night, and it's almost like the accidental hero, isn't he? Like he sort of everything that he does in that is he ends up sort of winning the fight just almost by accident, And it was kind of, I mean, that's not where Stephen was going with it, but you could see that that's where it could happen. He sort of doesn't know about these new powers, but you know what? Something I'm going to say something. We've just spent a couple of minutes there talking about Mr. Knight and he's kind of transitioning to that. Is that because, I'm going to throw something out there now, is that because the story didn't really move on much? And that's the best thing we can think to talk about?
I think it did in a way. Because if you think about the story, we got introduced to Lila in the story. And she made some interesting comments about, about her knowing of multiple personas for Steve, and so they're continuing to hint at other for Mark, because she knows Mark. Her and Mark are married, but she doesn't know about Steve until he answers the phone and calls her back and that stuff, and then she tracks him via the phone. But then she made that comment about multiple personas. Which one of your personas is this? So she knows that he has multiple. So there's further hints that there's somebody else going to show up. We always keep seeing the mirror stuff. That part where at the end of the episode where he lost the scarab and they're going back and forth and he rage breaks the mirror, that's not Steve or Mark. I think that's Jake to me.
Yeah.
So I think they're slowly building into Jake at some point, because we've seen like a steady increase of that from episode 1 to episode 2. I guess the other part of the story that's moving on is we're seeing more into Haro, right? Seeing more who he is, seeing more of that cultist like stuff. His motivations, find out he was previously the avatar of Khonshu's avatar previously, and now he's Amit's avatar. It seems like that he has some power. The jackals are there, but not everyone can see them. Lila only saw them because of the water or the glass or the liquid she threw on the jackal. And so I think in that aspect, the story's moving forward to we're seeing how far down the rabbit hole this goes between Khonshu, Haro, Mark Spector, Stephen Grant, and whoever else shows up in the series.
Yeah, so for me, I agree with that, and I also think that in this episode we not only got the mention that Arthur was not only the former Avatar, but Khonshu also mentions that he's like, oh, I'm also looking at Layla to be a potential Avatar for me, and obviously he's trying to use that to just get Mark to do what he wants, but still, like in one episode we've seen the potential for there to be 3 Avatars for Khonshu. But one of the most interesting things that I thought about in this episode was the fact of, you see Mark, I feel like Steven's kind of like the good personality, Mark's kind of like the neutral personality, and I think if we see Jake Lockley, he could be kind of like the bad personality. Like, psycho. Yeah, and he's going to be the one that like set up the date for Steven, and like in the first episode where they go to the steakhouse and things like that, because it didn't make sense for Mark to do it. It didn't really make sense for Steven to do it. So it would have to be like a third person. Yep. So I think you're going to find out that might be like Jake, and then you'll find out that Jake's basically doing all the bad, terrible things. He'll be like the evil side of it, possibly.
So I know the name, but who's Jake?
He's kind of like go ahead. Oh, Jimmy, do this one.
Yeah,
Jimmy's the guest here.
He's like the street level. He's a cab driver. He's the one that's out most nights. If he's not as Moon Knight sort of thing. He evolves a bit more later on. He's more like the one that gets the job done. The darker side is there's kind of like a wall between him and the other two. They don't know what he's done. They just trust that you'll get it done, sort of thing.
Right.
Dark things that he doesn't want to. The Mark's already got quite a broken mind, Stephen. However you want to look at it, and he feels the things that he does or would do for them. This is not necessarily like villainous, bad, evil, but things that would affect Mark Steven in a bad way that would maybe cause another break, well, sort of thing.
Gotcha.
Here's a good
So
example for you, Andy. Have you
Yeah,
seen
go on.
Taxi with De Niro?
Yep.
That's
Taxi
Jake
Driver.
Lockley. Taxi Driver, yeah. With De Niro, that's Jake Lockley. In a nutshell.
Gotcha. Right. Okay. Yep. You talking to me?
Yeah, I think this is Mark from the group. I love when there's a character named Mark in a show movie because I'm kind of like, yeah, this is me, unless they're a jerk. Because most people named Mark on movies are grade A jerks. And then RMC also makes a comment about the Avatar piece. Makes me wonder how Haro could be an avatar of two opposing gods. Did he seek out Amit? Which
I reckon that might be a good shout because it's Khonshu. Obviously, what he was Khonshu's avatar, and Khonshu seems to have sort of swept him aside. So now I'm maybe thinking that Harrow then seeked out Amit to sort of get back at Khonshu, sort of thing.
So I actually I think it's kind of interesting. I think Arthur is kind of like one of those where he may have used Khonshu for justice and then realized that you've got this kind of weird thing where for Khonshu, justice is kind of like free will. Like you do an action, you've done something wrong, then you're condemned for it type of thing. Whereas with Amit, it's kind of one of those things where you're predetermined to do good or bad. So it's kind of like it's skipping all the steps of people committing the acts and everything. So it's going quicker past what Khonshu's doing almost. And I also and I see that one question about the how can he be an avatar for two opposing gods? I don't really think that Amit's part of the Ennead. Is it? I could be wrong. I think it's just a supernatural being that's like a devourer of souls type thing.
I did look up the Ennead before, and I can't remember if Amit's in it or not.
Yeah, I don't think it is, but I could be wrong.
No, I don't think so.
Something I was thinking about these split personalities in this. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I admit I don't know much about Moon Knight from source material, but something I was thinking about this is because we saw Layla mention that the other personalities that she knew that Mark had. I'm wondering whether this is something that Mark. So Mark's obviously he's the spy, he's the mercenary, yeah.
Yep.
So little bit secret agent-esque. 007, multiple, not personalities, but identities.
Aliases.
Yeah, aliases. So he's got these different aliases to help him, navigate around this kind of clandestine black ops world that he needs to be in. Then, he's working as a mercenary. And then if Khonshu makes him his avatar, his mind just sort of can't now control where these personalities, you can't separate these personalities. Well, no, sorry, there's personalities have literally separated from the one person. So now not only is, that's why Layla recognized who Stephen was, because he's been Stephen before, but he knew he was being Stephen. But now with Khonshu in his mind, he can't bring them all together. They're all now separate people.
Yeah.
That was just an idea. I'm just trying to think from a grounded as being possessed by a.
And they had that line in the episode where Arthur basically says, "Was your mind corrupted before Khonshu, or was it corrupted by Khonshu?" So and that's kind of similar. Jamie, you might agree. It's kind of similar to the comics. You don't really know if Khonshu caused it until later on. They say it's he had it as a child too.
A little bit, a little bit. But there's so much variations of it. The change it's small enough to make a difference. As I said, Jarian, I think you read quite early stuff, and it's not like a multiple personality disorder, is it? It's more he is just going out at night as Jake coming back home right now. Yep. Mark, it's not DID, but it's slowly evolved into that. And they've gone back and shown that, he had an imaginary friend called Steven at one point when he was a kid. And then it's just escalated sort of thing.
It's almost like he gets lost in the identities, I guess. Yeah.
That's a really good point. And actually, I think if they use that as the sort of narrative of the show, that he started out as a kid with an imaginary friend, and then it was that carried over into his professional life as a mercenary, where he had these different personalities that he had to assume just to stay hidden from the people who he was trying to, kill or rob or whatever he had to do to him. And then obviously now with Khonshu involved, it's completely taken over, and he's got this, this disorder. Roxy said that she thinks Jake's got a side deal going on with Khonshu.
If it would benefit him, yeah, he probably would.
He's one of them, isn't he?
Yeah.
So speaking of multiple personalities, do you see when they showed his passport? Mark's passport when he was in the storage locker. So that right there confirms that he was not snapped, because that was during the 5-year snap.
Unless it's a fake passport.
Yeah, it could be fake, but it's interesting that they showed that, and you saw the date right there.
How does an international criminal just travel across borders no problem with like a passport? Like, wouldn't they like flag him as soon as he goes in somewhere? You know what I'm saying? Like,
he's probably got a passport for Stephen Grant as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just use that. They look the same.
Yeah, I mean, he might have another fake one for Jake Lockley, and like
people too.
Yeah.
That's what spies do, isn't it? Well, apparently.
Yeah.
Apparently that's what spies do. Loads of different. He had wads of cash in there, different currencies. He may well have had different passports in there. It's the typical sort of spies, duffel bag, isn't it? Different passports, different identities, different monies, and guns and costumes or whatever you might need just to get about. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he's got passports for all of them. Yeah. So here's something, and I think he's still live, and the RMC still with us. So he's posted in the group earlier on today something really interesting about the basically the lack of blood. Basically, the lack of blood in the program. That's it was more complicated than that. It was more nuanced and better written. But fundamentally, it come down to the lack of blood and gore. We've seen a bit of fighting now, but he's only been fighting a visible jackals.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's almost like when it's an alien or a monster. Blood doesn't count anyway, does it? It's, so do we think that we're going to see this quote unquote darker side of of Marvel within this show? I know we're only 2 episodes in. I appreciate that. And I know that they've said that, big things are happening in episode 4. We haven't seen Jake yet. If Jake is the kind of, I'm going to get the stuff done that nobody else wants to do, maybe he's going to be that person that we see it with. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I think John Walker using the shield on that one dude was like a great example of probably like about the darkest Disney might go. And you remember that scene where the shield's covered in blood, like, and he's standing over that guy, and that episode ends. I remember like watching that episode, and I was pretty surprised that they went like that. I was like, wow, I did not expect that. Yeah, I don't think they've gone that way yet with Moon Knight, but I think they'll probably maybe get there or get to maybe something comparable. But I mean, like, he was fighting a jackal in like the first episode. Like, it's not really like, I don't really see like a jackal like bleeding. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it can be kind of like hard. But I really do hope that they like get it, kind of bloody. I mean, he was like a boxer in the comics, like at one point, and that was where that one little like scene where
oh right, okay,
yeah.
Oh, nice little nod. I like that. That's okay. That's
also too, when the jackal, you saw the jackal, we didn't see it die the first episode, but this episode you saw it once he killed it, it went back to sand. And everyone can't see the jackals, so that could be for the lack of blood right now, but I think it'll pick up. There's going to be a conflict coming with Aharo and possibly more of his people. So, and we've seen blood on Steven when he wakes up. Yeah, when he wakes up out of the when he goes to Mark, we've seen the blood on Steven. We've seen how to fix his jaw. So it's going to happen once we actually see Mark fighting. I think we'll see it happen. I want to go back though to a comment from the group though about, I know that Mark isn't a vegan, unlike Steven. Since he set up the date with that girl, I'm curious what else is between personalities, which honestly, I think that was Jake and not Mark.
Yeah.
With the fish and with the date. Um,
So I don't think Jake would replace the fish.
or okay, then maybe it was
He,
Mark
he
then.
would.
Yeah, you're right.
No,
You're right.
no,
Do
but
you
he would.
think-
I think he would set up the date though.
I was
Yeah.
going to say,
Jake would
do you think Mark doesn't seem like the type of person who's got time to mess about with going on a date?
Yep,
You know what I
exactly.
mean? But Jake,
Yeah.
from what you've just said, and from the very tiny little bit that I know, he's quite sort of obnoxious and kind of full of himself. So yeah, he's got all this other stuff going on, but he's still got time to go out for a date. I can imagine that. Where Mark's very sort of professional, isn't he? He's like, I'm going to get the job done. I haven't got time for this. You know,
He's
just gonna
he's
do
a
this.
man on a mission.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Every time you
Like-
see him, he's serious and he's focused.
Yeah.
So
I was just going to read out this comment from RMC.
about
Um,
Jake or something. Oh, here we go. Here we go. This one right
Yeah,
here.
next one down. Chuck it up there. Yeah. So IMC said he only wants them to do the character justice. We haven't seen a lot of him yet, so it's early to judge.
Yep.
Maybe they're holding out for Jake. So yeah, I mean that like we said, maybe like what you were saying, Jamie. Maybe there's these different sides of him.
I'm kind of expecting kind of like Fight Club when the narrator Cornelius, finds out about Tyler Durden and that he's Tyler Durden, and then he goes back and sees all those flashbacks about him doing stuff, commanding the people, with Marla, all the other stuff. That's how I'm picturing the Jake reveal will be if they do one.
Yeah, imagine if you went back to that scene where he was, the car chase and the scene in the town, and you saw what maybe was happening. Maybe they skip those scenes because they're going to play them back, later. Yeah.
So
that's
RMC has another question here. Is like, do we think this is all a test? Episode 4 reveals that Mark is dead. So I've long said this from the beginning that I think this is a test, and this is kind of either the realm where gods are or those deities are. And that we could maybe possibly see Wong at the end coming to get him, or he's dead, and this is a test by Khonshu. I know in the next couple episodes, we do see some, in the previews, some mental hospital type stuff. So instead of him being dead, he could also be all in a mental ward as well. And this could all be in his head.
Which some of that stuff with Arthur, I mean, like, I remember, like, that scene where they, like, show, like, all the people sitting there, like, looking at, like, different things and working on stuff in the compound and all that kind of stuff. That, and they're all, like, trying to better each other and stuff like that. It seemed very much like a kind of like a group environment in an insane asylum almost. You know what I'm saying? Like it, and it seemed like somebody was seeing it through a different filter to me, almost almost like he's seeing an insane asylum as a cult almost. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't know.
I reckon we haven't had one yet. I don't think, in my opinion, we haven't had a real holy shit moment in any of these Disney Plus shows. One of those moments where you just go, oh, like you just had the wall pulled over your eyes, or your eyes opened. I don't think we've had one of those moments. We've had moments where you go, oh wow, or or but not one of those like jaw drop, unbelievable reveal kind of Bruce Willis was dead all along type of moments.
Which from all the because all the reporters and scoopers got to see the first 4 episodes, and everything I've heard about the reviews has been like episode 4 is that moment. But also too, it sounds like there was a glitch this week, and some got to see episode 5 where they weren't supposed to see episode 5, and it sounds like it continues in episode 5 as well. So it sounds like the next couple episodes we are in for a treat.
Yeah, nice.
RMC also says the little girl in episode 1, did it suck for you being denied? I am not dead, am I? Which, like I said, I think he's dead. He's some kind of purgatory or some kind of test.
I mean, episode 4, it picking up, it kind of makes sense because I feel like episode 3 will probably be where we get Jake Lockley, and then episode 4 will be where that roller coaster really starts to kind of go, where we see because now we know, we've seen that Mark and Steve and Grant have both been living lives each a piece. now we know that it feels like there's a third mysterious person in the mix. Like now in episode 3, we can find out what he's been doing this entire time. And when the episode ends, that could very well be Jake Lockley, like sitting there in Egypt, you know?
Mhm.
Which
Yeah.
notice the broken mirror too as well. When he's sitting there drinking at the end of the episode, the mirror is broke again right there. So it's like almost like Mark had an issue with Steven or Jake again. It's like he had in the courtyard after he lost the scarab and early in the episode.
Well, and interesting enough, he wakes up and it shows the sand and like around his bed at the beginning of the episode, and then the episode ends with him looking out at the sands of Egypt, which I thought was really kind of like a interesting little parallel. And maybe it was foreshadowing at the beginning. I don't know, but yeah.
Couple things from the group. Kang reveal was pretty shit for me, and then they said followed up with Kang / He Who Remains.
That's Monty.
Yeah,
that's Monty. Yeah, no, I agree. I think we knew that was coming, though, didn't we? We knew that was happening. But yeah, I agree. That still was one of those moments.
So, if we get to this insane asylum piece, have you guys seen the movie Identity at all? Like John Cusack's in it.
Yes.
Where it's like basically it's like a thriller movie, and it's almost he has to go through and kill all his identities.
Yes.
So there's one at the end. I wonder if by the time this wraps up, if we get to something like that, maybe before we get some kind of big turn, big surprise type of thing in the series.
Yeah, I feel like we're totally gonna get something like crazy, and we're thinking it's gonna go one way, and then the rug's just gonna get yanked right out from underneath us, and it's gonna be hard and fast, and we're not gonna see it coming.
Yeah. That's it. That's what I want. That's that moment that I was talking about. That's Monty again there saying, yeah, I definitely think episodes 4 to 6 will be when it really kicks into gear, because we actually haven't had a ton of development thus far. It's been fairly conservative paced. As always, Monty, I totally agree with you there.
100% spot on.
Yeah. Anything else we want to talk about before we close this episode out? I know we've got something else we want to do first, but anything else we want to talk about on Moon Knight before we sort of?
I think if we're going in mental hospital wise, I think it's definitely going to be taking something from, is it Lemire? I don't know how to pronounce it properly. Lemire, his run. That's mostly based in the mental hospital, and that's. It gets a bit crazy there, definitely. There's a lot of things happen that have you scratching your head a lot. You think, have I missed something? Something not here? I think that's why we've had the slow development just now, because I think when it hits that mental hospital, I think that's when it's going to turn everything we know so far on its head and be in a totally different direction and a faster speed, possibly.
I still like the psycho Colonel Sanders line from when he's Mr. Knight. But yeah, I agree with Jamie. I think that's when we'll start seeing things pick up. Also, too, I'm loving Ethan Hawke's. You know, I know with Harrow, it's way different from the comics. You know, Harrow was like a blip in the comics. So I'm loving how Ethan Hawke is doing it, bringing the whole cult presence with him, and the way he's going about it. So interesting to see where this ends up. How he, you know, also too how he became Amit's avatar. I want to find out, what went bad between him and Khonshu, as well. So those are what I'm looking at. And here another comment too about, I think this is Monty again, possibly.
Mark.
Mark, if this does go mental hospital route, I hope it gets trippy like Legion, which that'd be pretty cool as well. I wonder if we'll also get kind of like a One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest vibe a little bit.
Yeah.
Also, so I'm dropping the movie references today on here.
a little bit of Shutter Island, maybe.
Yeah. Shutter Island. I'll
Yes.
take that. That's awesome. Yeah, awesome.
And RMC goes, agree. Ethan is awesome. Everyone is. So
Yeah. Okay, brilliant. Good. So we've wrapped up another episode of Moon Knight there. This time next week, episode 3, we hopefully will have a little bit more, like we say, more development to talk about. But look, Alex has come back with a bang this week, and he's coming back with some information. So anybody that's listening, get on this. Go on, Alex. I'll hand over to you, mate.
So, the group Marvel D&T Evolution, it is expanding out, is branching out, and we are going to be starting a sister group, DC D&T Evolution. Man, I almost messed it up right off the bat, but managed to get it out. But yeah, so that'll be our DC group. We can talk about DC content, all kinds of stuff, future movies, and what's going on with Ezra Miller and all that fun stuff. So
We off the back of our DC takeover weekend, it was so you loved it, didn't you? You was especially like sort of, it was in your element there, and as soon as it was mentioned, you was like, yes, let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, I love DC, and a lot of other people, like, I did not realize that we had so many other fans of DC, like so many people that, like, they either just like the movies or they like comics, or they like it all. So I was a little bit blown away by the kind of support, I guess, for that.
Yeah, it was really engaging that weekend, wasn't it? So, and I think this doesn't necessarily mean that we can't talk about DC stuff on the Marvel group ever, but it does mean that there's now a dedicated place to just let the DC out and just go crazy with it, because obviously we don't want that on the Marvel group, and vice versa, we don't want the opposite on the DC group. But it doesn't, where it overlaps, that's cool, but there's a dedicated place now, and that's really cool. That's going to be pretty much headed up by you two, isn't it, Alex and Jamie? And we've got a few more people that hopefully are going to get on board with that, and hopefully it'll run exactly the same way as the Marvel D&T Evo page or group, just with slightly different content. So there's going to be a link dropping for that on our group any moment now. So get over there, join that group. Yeah, wicked.
And also, one more thing, let me just go ahead and say, April 19th is when the Batman comes out on HBO. So just want to go ahead and make that known too.
Nice. Yeah, brilliant. Well, in that case, who's that? That's Monty saying that. Yeah, DC would be a lot to talk about. Not as well developed and framed as Marvel at all, but looking forward to this. I am a DC fan, and I hit the join button ASAP when I saw the DC D&T chat group pop up. Brilliant. On that note, before we go, just one second, Joe. But I'll come back to you in a second. Before we go, great post earlier on this week. It didn't mean to happen, but everybody come and said about how much they enjoy the group, and all the things. Some great comments on there, basically saying just delete every other Marvel group that you've got and just follow this one. Which is awesome. Thank you for those comments and that support. That's really cool. Like you said, from day one we've set up with a mission, and hopefully we're following through with that. Jarian, what did you want to say, mate?
Yeah, about Monty's comment about DC. Wasn't there some shakeup with WB and that they got bought and now someone's taking kind of the reins of that? Who did they get bought by?
Discovery.
Yeah, that's right. So Discovery's taking the reins over, it seems like now. So hopefully we'll get some kind of game plan and continuity going.
Yeah. So they're going to start some kind of big media tech giant thing, and it's going to have like CNN, like HBO, Discovery, and it's going to be some conglomerate thing. So.
Kind of like Disney, Hulu, and ESPN probably. Type of thing.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
Well, get on the DC group and discuss that one then. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Roxy. Thank you, RMC. Monty, Mark. Yeah, and obviously thank you, Jamie, again for coming on and special guest host.
No problem.
And welcome back, Alex. Thank you, Jarian. It's been great, and we'll see you again next week. Yeah.
Have a good one.
Yeah.
See.
Why don't you tell them about the time we faced them
All right. Well, as I remember,
at Avenger headquarters?